My elder brother identifies as gay. My second sister is a lesbian. My third brother and fourth sister engage in a facade of sibling affection. My parents, bewildered, trembled as they inquired of me. Mingyue, you surely have nothing to conceal from us, do you? Quietly, I retrieved my phone and opened my album. In a timid whisper, I confessed, my boyfriend is blonde hair. My parents exhaled in relief. Blonde hair is wonderful. We adore blonde hair. It was not until a line of luxury cars parked beneath our building that the scene shifted. Song Qingyan emerged from a Rolls-Royce, clad in an impeccably tailored suit. My family, utterly perplexed, exclaimed, "Where's the blonde you promised?" I pointed to his hair. "Isn't that it?" After Song Qingyan departed, my siblings huddled in a corner, silently shedding tears. If we had known he was a tall, wealthy, and handsome man, we would not have bothered with our charade of pretending to be in a same-sex sibling relationship. 1. We are a blended family. My mother and her former husband have 2 sons, my elder brother and my younger brother. My father and his ex-wife have 2 daughters, my second sister and my fourth sister. I was born after their marriage. My father is my mother's husband, resulting in a consanguineous union. As the sole offspring of their union, it became unseemly to chastise the other children for their misdeeds. Consequently, I became the frequent target of their reprimands. Thus, from a young age, I was perceived as somewhat lacking in intellect. I was deeply hurt when my parents married without inviting me, leading to a long spell of sorrow. Yet, my feelings went unnoticed, and I had no choice but to sulk away to eat. After being scolded by my mother for my laziness in elementary school, I vowed to transform myself into a relentless learning machine, intent on making them regret their words. However, after studying diligently for an afternoon, I discovered that adopting a sinister persona was far too exhausting, so I decided to abandon the endeavor altogether. My siblings are exceedingly intelligent, seemingly inheriting all the admirable traits from our parents. In stark contrast, I often find myself sighing as I observe them seated together. My parents once took me to have my IQ tested, which revealed a rather dismal result, causing their blood pressure to soar. Truth be told, I am not foolish, merely lethargic. My father is a scientist, my mother a mathematician, my elder brother a renowned lawyer, my second sister a master surgeon, my younger brother a celebrated star, and my fourth sister a successful businesswoman. With such abundant resources at hand, what motivation do I have to strive? From an early age, I understood the necessity of relentless effort to maintain the title of genius. Yet my laziness prevails. Nonetheless, witnessing their perpetual frowns and their embarrassment when mentioning me in front of others, I resolved to grant them some dignity. 2. With a mere flick of my hand, the coveted position of top student in my grade was secured beneath me. Prior to this, that esteemed title belonged to my desk mate, Song Qingyan. Upon usurping his first place, he gazed at my name atop the rankings with an expression of profound hurt. "Brother, you pocket me and then you kick me into the ditch?" His expression was one of sorrow and indignation, prompting me to place a strawberry-flavored lollipop on his desk. "I want you to take the exam next time." Song Qingyan clenched the candy in his palm, his eyes ablaze with determination. "I accept your challenge." What challenge? He had previously appeared rather lackadaisical, akin to a street urchin, casually listening during class. Yet, despite this demeanor, he consistently attained the highest grades, earning him the title of genius among teachers and peers alike. But this time, a supposed simpleton surpassed a prodigy. Unprecedented and astonishing, my classmates suspected foul play and reported me to the school. I was summoned to the principal's office. In light of your unexpected performance, some students have raised doubts regarding the authenticity of your results. Do you have any defense to offer? The questioner was the head of the department, a plump, fair-skinned, middle-aged man. His tone was gentle, yet his words were laced with sharpness, which I found unappealing. Why should I defend myself? The headmaster was momentarily taken aback, then furrowed his brow. Because a student has accused you of cheating, he who asserts must provide evidence. If you claim I cheated, you ought to present proof rather than expect me to exonerate myself. I shall not offer explanations. Such a trivial examination hardly necessitates cheating. Should there be any doubts, feel free to consult my lawyer. After all, my brother runs a law firm, so I might as well take advantage of it. Disinterested in his words, I returned to the classroom. Speaking so much had left me exhausted. Once back at my desk, I rested my head and let out a long sigh. Xiao Yeye, have you been crying? Upon opening my eyes, I found Song Qingyan's youthful face staring up at me, his gaze unwavering. Who has bullied you? Tell me, and I shall deal with them. I lifted my head to meet his eyes, and he struck a rather impressive pose. The headmaster. After I spoke, I fixed my gaze on him intently. Song Qingyan stood atop his chair, pounding the desk. That little brat dares to bully our Xiao Yeye? Just wait, I shall educate him later. That day, I stumbled upon a post on the forum indicating that the headmaster's bicycle tire had been punctured by a well-meaning individual. 3. The school could not provide evidence of my alleged cheating, and thus acknowledged my results. However, they still called my mother to inform her of the situation. I have always been the center of attention at home, and upon hearing that I had achieved first place, everyone abandoned their tasks and returned home. Except for my second sister, who was engaged in a surgery that could not be postponed. My parents meticulously examined my report card, even employing a magnifying glass for scrutiny. They circulated the report card among themselves. There are no signs of tampering. Could it be that she cheated? That seems unlikely. She is so lazy and dim-witted. How could she manage to cheat? I say she has had an epiphany. I always asserted that there is not a single fool in our family. My younger brother's comment sent ripples through the family, prompting my parents to arrange for another IQ test that night. The expert examining the report was so excited that his hands trembled. This child is a genius. An IQ of 290, surpassing even Einstein. My parents were incredulous, utterly shocked. But wasn't it previously stated that she was mentally challenged? The expert concluded, she is either feigning ignorance or has just awakened her intellect. My parents turned to me. Which one are you? Without hesitation, I replied, the latter. My parents were both amused and exasperated. Well then, you've been pretending for over a decade. Who could outwit you, you plastic bag? Faced with their sardonic remarks,
Il chose silence.
I felt too sympathetic towards them. Had I known, I would have feigned ignorance my entire life. My mother, in a moment of maternal concern, gently asked, Mingyue, why pretend to be foolish? I munched on potato chips, the crunching sound echoing, because being clever draws too much scrutiny from many, while being simple-minded only subjects me to your watchful eyes. As long as I am perceived as foolish, you will not permit me to mingle excessively with strangers. Socializing can indeed be a taxing endeavor. I even find the abundance of questions on the MBTI test tiresome. It is only natural to wish to evade the multitude of people. After my mother smiled, she returned home and engaged my father in a mixed martial arts encounter. Since I had decided to cease my pretense, I truly resolved to abandon it. Mimicking Song Qingyan, I placed my foot atop the table. Ladies and gentlemen, I must confess, I hold a black belt in Taekwondo. My parents, after much effort, found their attempts to dissuade me utterly ineffective. My older brother exclaimed in surprise, Xiao Yeye, when did you learn Taekwondo? Self-taught in my room. It is a skill that not only strengthens the body but also allows for heroic rescues and self-defense. It is indeed an essential skill for both home and travel. For my ruse of feigned ignorance left my family both amused and perplexed. My second sister affectionately patted my head. Our Xiao Yeye need not toil. Our family's wealth is more than sufficient for you to indulge. My younger brother and fourth sister exchanged icy glances directed at my second sister. The fourth sister spoke coolly. Our family is filled with researchers. It's all about burning money. Only my brother and I are earning. What gives you the audacity to say that? Xiao Yeye, our family is too impoverished. Learn business from me. My younger brother immediately interjected, no way. Xiao Mingyue is too beautiful. I've long insisted she should enter the entertainment industry, and you shall not compete with me. The elder brother clapped a hand on my shoulder. Stand with your elder brother to safeguard the public with the law. My parents also joined this fray over my future. After much bickering, my younger brother proposed, enough of this. Whatever we say is inconsequential. It is up to Xiao Mingyue to express her desires. As soon as he uttered these words, everyone turned their eager gazes towards me, their anticipation palpable. I felt as if I had become a fish on a chopping board. With a sly grin, I declared, I desire to reap without sowing, to enjoy the fruits without labor. Mother, a fanciful notion. Father, a pipe dream. Elder brother, unrealistic. Fourth sister, irrelevant. Third brother's eyes sparkled, a serendipitous alignment. Sharp glares were directed at third brother, who maintained a solemn expression, a decline in thought. Upon returning to school, I found myself the subject of peculiar glances from all around. Behold, genius attracts attention effortlessly, which can indeed be rather vexing. As I settled into my seat in the classroom, I felt the weight of everyone's gaze upon me. Habitually, I retrieved my breakfast from the bag on my desk, casting a glance at Song Qingyan, who was engrossed in his studies. It was the first time I had seen him work so diligently, and a sense of gratification washed over me. In light of his daily gesture of bringing me breakfast, I offered him some words of comfort. "You needn't exert yourself so much. There's no shame in not surpassing me. After all, I am a genius." Song Qingyan paused momentarily before bursting into laughter. "Xiaoyeye, can you not boast for once?" I narrowed my eyes and flashed a mischievous smile. "Ah, splendid. You are the first to challenge me, dear man. You have successfully captured my attention." He then rummaged through my drawer and produced a book. "Mr. Li, your wife has already passed the civil service examination." He opened his mouth, as if to speak, and after a long pause, managed to utter, "You're rather inspiring." For reasons unbeknownst to me, I felt an almost imperceptible aura of menace surrounding me, causing an unsettling sensation akin to a thorn in my back or a fishbone lodged in my throat. I surveyed my surroundings yet found nothing amiss. However, I was convinced that a nefarious plot against me was afoot. The first 2 periods of the morning were dedicated to Chinese language, thus the morning reading session was also presided over by the Chinese teacher. She was a middle-aged woman, typically stern in demeanor, yet today she approached me with a beaming smile. "Su Mingyue, you are the only student in the entire school to achieve a perfect score. I read your essay, it was splendid. You certainly know how to conceal your prowess. The entire school is astounded. Do maintain this momentum." "Teacher, I prefer your more unruly demeanor," I replied. Her smile faltered, and she took a deep breath. "Study more, speak less. Remember this, it will benefit you for a lifetime." A stifled giggle erupted from somewhere in the classroom, prompting the teacher to look around, only to find the reading voices escalating in volume as she could not pinpoint the source of the laughter. With the teacher leading the way, once the bell rang, my classmates flocked to my side. "Su Mingyue, weren't you supposed to be dim-witted? How have you suddenly become so formidable?" "I know. She must have been reborn." "What was the exam like?" "Share. Rebirth means living again, not swapping brains. She must have a system, right? Is it a score-boosting system? One that shocks you if you don't improve?" As I munched on my unfinished breakfast, I could not help but interject amidst their ludicrous conclusions. "Is it not possible that I am, in fact, a genius who has merely been feigning ignorance all along?" The classroom fell silent, and they all shook their heads in unison. The system seems more plausible. They certainly read as many novels as I did. Song Qingyan placed his hand on my shoulder. "Su Mingyue is just pretending. I have always known." A voice from the back piped up. "What nonsense. Just yesterday, she claimed she would stab you in the back." As the class bell rang, students returned to their seats. I gazed at Song Qingyan, who was blushing furiously, yet attempting to appear nonchalant. I clenched my fist and thumped my chest. "Good brother, in my heart, should anything arise, I shall inform you. Though I cannot assist in grand matters, I will not shy away from minor ones." Song Qingyan muttered something I couldn't quite catch. "What did you say? Do you want chocolate?" Resigned, he retrieved a chocolate bar from his drawer and placed it before me. "Just eat it, you glutton." After an entire day of classes, I finally understood what the teachers meant by being astonished. Nearly every teacher felt compelled to praise me. I showcased my genius-level social skills. By the next day, however, no teacher spoke to me again. How tranquil. After each comprehensive exam across the school, awards were presented, transforming the recess into a ceremony. The school selected the top 3 overall scores as well as the top 3 in each subject. In the third-year class, the first place in Chinese is Su Mingyue. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. As I accepted the award, I stood quietly beside the teacher presenting the accolades. The teacher continued, "First place in mathematics, Su Mingyue." Another certificate was added to my collection. "First place in English, Su Mingyue." I whispered to the awarding teacher, "Shall we just hand them all to me? This is rather awkward." The teacher chuckled and handed me a stack of certificates. "Su, can our province's top scholar emerge from our school? It rests upon you." "Rest assured, teacher, we are family and do not speak in halves. The honor of the school is my honor. His gaze radiated satisfaction. Good, you excel in studies, possess a fine temperament, and have high aspirations. Having you is a blessing for our school. The teacher continued to read out the names, and we had already engaged in conversation by the time the second-place winners were announced. The process remained the same. Apart from me, the other students' scores were quite stable. The top 3 spots all belonged to our class. As I descended with my certificates, Chi Yuaner gazed at my accolades with utter desolation. My awards have vanished. I felt a twinge of sympathy and discreetly pointed at the boy in third place. You defeated him. That position is still yours. Chi Yuaner glanced at third place, her eyes igniting with fierce determination. Third place is mine. The third-place boy looked at me helplessly. His eyes filled with resentment that could sustain 10 malevolent sword immortals, yet I merely raised my chin, pretending not to see. Song Qingyan chuckled. You're trying to sow discord here. I feigned innocence. What nonsense. I merely wish for everyone to progress together. I simply employed a minor tactic, all right? Song Qingyan inquired. Shall we dine together tonight to celebrate? I'll pass. I'm heading home to spend time with my parents. Upon arriving home, I surveyed the empty living room, and my smile faltered. The aunt emerged from the kitchen. Mingyue is back. Auntie, will Mom and Dad return tonight? She held a freshly baked egg tart. Mingyue, your parents are busy. I smiled and picked up an egg tart to savor. Wow, Auntie, your culinary skills have improved. This is delicious. That night, clad in my pajamas, I sat in the living room watching television. The screen displayed a comedy. Yet my thoughts wandered to the notion that perhaps it would have been better to continue feigning ignorance. Once one's abilities are unveiled, the necessity for concealment dissipates. From that point forth, Song Qingyan became eternally second best. Each time results were announced, he would have me wait. As we awaited the results, the looming college entrance examination was merely 45 days away. He leaned in closer. Xiaoye, which university do you plan to apply to? Originally, the school had reserved spots for recommendations, but I deemed it a waste to take such opportunities. It would be better to allow others to benefit. After all, I was the school's emblem. As for Song Qingyan, he claimed that life would be regrettable without experiencing the college entrance examination. However, I had not given much thought to which university I would choose. Beijing University, it's conveniently located near my home. For me, the choice of university was inconsequential. What mattered was proximity to home, as I had little desire to travel far. Then I will also apply to Beijing University. With flushed ears, Song Qingyan gazed at me with a look that was both alluring and hesitant, as if he were on the verge of bloodshed. I was certain he was attempting to entice me. I had seen such tactics before, often in the back of romantic comics. Song Qingyan, do you have feelings for me? In an instant, he sprang to his feet. You. What nonsense are you spouting? Who could possibly have feelings for you? I, Song Qingyan, would rather leap from here to my demise than harbor any affection for you. I cast a glance at the 15-centimeter high step beside me. He seemed to be attempting to prove something, yet it felt utterly irrelevant to me. Fine then, don't like me. I have no desire for romance. It's simply too exhausting. Dating entails outings, meetings, and the mere thought is enough to annoy me. Song Qingyan's expression grew somewhat awkward as he averted his gaze from me, fixating instead on the heavens and the earth. Well, little moon, is it that you find romance too tiring? I nodded, pulling out a bag of chips and crunching away. He looked at me in disbelief, circling around as if trying to comprehend. Where on earth did you pull such a large bag of chips from? I raised my hand. Care for some? Song Qingyan hesitated, his hand reaching out to take some, only for someone to snatch the bag away and hurl it to the ground. A small shoe stomped down fiercely on my chips. My beloved snacks had met their demise. Li Cici's eyes flared with anger as she slapped a form onto my face. Su Mingyue, are you insulting me? Song Qingyan bellowed. Li Cici, are you out of your mind? What's with your daily antics? Her inquiry felt oddly familiar. Indeed. Song Qingyan had once asked me if I was challenging him. Both of them seemed rather nonsensical. I glanced at the form. It was the list of guaranteed admissions. Let me tell you, I can also gain admission to Qingda based on my own merits. You needn't look down on me so. I shook my head with a tone of solemnity. Child, why are you so thoughtless? This education is not solely for me. It is for your mother as well. Don't you know that concrete number 72 cannot be mixed with lemon meringue? Song Qingyan's lips twitched. What are you on about? Just speaking my mind.
Li Sisi.
In a fit of rage, stomped her foot. You two can't ignore me. I'm furious. I chuckled. She was incensed, yet she had just obliterated my chips. And I remained unfazed. Anger, for me, is an exhausting endeavor. I pointed to the shattered remnants of my chips on the ground. Sweep that up first. And then I'll listen to you. Li Sisi widened her eyes. You dare to give me orders? I turned to leave. An exasperated voice called out, wait. Can't I just sweep it? I halted, crossing my arms against the wall, while Song Qingyan mirrored my stance beside me. Li Sisi returned from the restroom with a broom, sweeping while shooting me glances, filled with disdain. The school was currently hosting a sports meet, and everyone had gone to join the festivities, leaving the classroom deserted. Li Sisi sat across from Song Qingyan and me. I placed the form in front of me and tapped the table with my pen. Now, let us discuss the cause and course of events.
Li Sisi strejk tenet her posture involuntarily.
It's like this. I was originally cheering for the athletes. And then the teacher called me to the office and handed me a guaranteed admission application, this very form. She said it was at your behest. So I came to inquire. I furrowed my brow. I had no idea that granting her the spot was my intention, considering I hardly knew her. Moreover, this was a school matter. What business did I have meddling in it? What demands do you have? Li Sisi gritted her teeth, glaring at me. I want you to apologize. I tossed my pen onto the table, producing a sharp, crisp sound. Leaning back in my chair, I replied, first of all, granting that spot was the school's decision. I had no hand in it. Secondly, who do you think you are that I should grant you the spot? How audacious. Demand denied. Li Sisi shot up, her chair toppling over as she slammed her palm onto the table. Aren't you the one who wants to insult me? Why on earth would I insult you? Because I reported you for cheating.
Oh.
So that was it. She composed herself, glancing between me and Song Qingyan. Didn't he tell you? I turned to Song Qingyan. You knew? He rubbed his nose. I thought it best not to tell you, fearing it would affect your mood. I regarded him with admiration, giving a thumbs up. Well done. Very thoughtful. Song Qingyan grinned, flashing his teeth in a heart gesture. I'm your loyal companion. Li Sisi's mouth twitched, her expression one of utter despair. You two are quite enough. I readjusted myself in my seat, tapping the table with my pen once more. Now tell me, why do you harbor such animosity towards me? Li Sisi remained silent, while Song Qingyan wore a smile. Because she ranks second to last in our class. And you were originally last. When you put forth effort, she became last. I feigned ignorance, playing the fool quite successfully. I was indeed the worst student in the entire school. Yet my parents insisted on providing me with a conducive learning environment, fearing I might be bullied. Thus, they used some connections to place me in this class. The teacher, concerned that I might impact others' grades, paired me with Song Qingyan. He had advanced from junior high with excellent grades, hardly ever studying at school. To everyone, he was a prodigy. However, from my observations, he must have been secretly studying. His facade was nothing but a ruse. Each time he slept, his eyelids fluttered, as if he were eavesdropping. His acting skills were as raw as a newborness, disappointed. I gazed at Li Sisi. Why do you resent me? You ought to be grateful. Grateful to you? For what reason?
Is theft unwaveringly here.
Let me ask you, who is currently the lowest performer in our class? It's you, isn't it?
Now.
Let me ask again. If I hadn't played the fool and cushioned your performance for 2.5 years, would you still be in last place? Answer me. Look into my eyes. Why do you dislike me? I've been your safety net for 2.5 years. What kind of bond allows for such disdain?
Why?
Tell me. Why, baby, why? Li Sisi appeared stunned, as did Song Qingyan. Li Sisi pondered for a moment, her cheeks flushing. Her tone softened. Then, why didn't you keep pretending? Also, why did you call me baby? You're so annoying. With that, she covered her face and dashed away. Song Qingyan propped his head on his hand, tilting it to observe me. Why did you call her baby? Is there a distinction in treatment? I've protected you all this time, and you've been secretly mocking me. I haven't, Song Qingyan. I've never mocked you. I'm genuinely pleased to have met you. Shall we dine together tonight? His lashes fluttered, his voice gentle and laced with amusement.
What?
The pampered girl isn't going home to accompany her parents today? This was my first time dining out with him. Song Qingyan had asked me out 36 times. And each time I had excused myself with the need to return home to keep my parents company. In truth, they were rarely home. They had their own affairs, often returning only every 10 days or so, spending most of their time at the research institute. My siblings were also preoccupied with their own lives, seldom visiting home. I was the only one in the family with ties to everyone. Our family relationships had always been distant, with concern only surfacing when it came to my matters. I thought if I could feign ignorance a bit more, perhaps they would care a little more and come home a few extra times. Song Qingyan took me to a private dining establishment, ordering all my favorite dishes. How did you know what I like to eat? Song Qingyan returned the menu to the waiter. After 3 years of sitting together, if I still didn't know your preferences, I'd truly be a fool. It is rather perplexing that I've spent 17 years in the company of my parents, yet they remain oblivious to my culinary preferences. With my forearms resting on the table, I tilted my head towards Song Qingyan, inquiring, Song Qingyan, is your attentiveness to my likes a result of your affection for me? He was momentarily taken aback, as though his breath had been stolen, his enchanting peach blossom eyes fixated on me. Thump, thump, thump. Your heart races. Do not become overly excited, or you may find yourself in peril. The sound of knocking interrupted us, as the waiter announced, Pardon the intrusion. The dishes are ready. The room fell into a profound silence until the waiter exited, courteously closing the door behind him. Only then did Song Qingyan speak with an air of righteous indignation. Su Mingyue, if you do not harbor feelings for me, do not toy with my emotions. Do you not realize how endearing your previous gesture was to someone who is fond of you? I found myself at a loss, unaccustomed to receiving such praise. But you're flirting with me as well, I retorted, to which Song Qingyan countered while serving me soup. But that is different. It is my prerogative to flirt with you, given my affection. You, however, cannot engage in such behavior, for that would be tantamount to playing with my feelings. Such reasoning was undeniably fallacious, yet it bore an irritating semblance of truth, leaving me at a loss for a rebuttal. Throughout our meal, Song Qingyan was particularly attentive, serving me rice and replenishing my dishes with fervor. Just as I was savoring a dish, it would miraculously appear before me. By the end of the meal, I found myself leaning back in my chair, utterly satiated. Song Qingyan, shall we dine together again tomorrow? I expressed, relishing the company during meals. For dining alone felt unbearably lonely. The aunt at home had someone awaiting her return, allowing her to prepare a meal and depart. Meanwhile, I was left to guard a home, so quiet it bordered on eerie. Song Qingyan's eyes reflected a deeper emotion as he replied, Absolutely. Sharing a meal with you is a delightful experience, little moon. I implore you to grace me with your presence at the dining table more often. His words turned my request into a seemingly authoritative statement, as if I were the one wielding the power in this exchange. He saw through my facade yet feigned ignorance as he averted his gaze. Song Qingyan had always been a remarkable individual. When I was first placed in this class by my parents, I faced ridicule and isolation from my peers, who accused me of dragging down the class average single-handedly, labeling me as a foolish heiress who had gained admission through connections. Yet Song Qingyan defended me fiercely. What harm is there in her being a little foolish? Did she consume your family's rice? If you are capable of bullying others, then surely you should be able to elevate your own scores, you bunch of worthless ingrates. His towering stature and excellent grades instilled a sense of fear among the others, who ultimately refrained from targeting me. Gradually, as they recognized my amiable nature, their hostility dissipated. Although genuine friendships remained elusive, save for Song Qingyan. As the aunt aged, my parents opted not to dismiss her, allowing her to prepare dinner in the evenings. They provided me with money to purchase my meals in the morning, yet I often neglected to do so. By the second period at school, my stomach would growl in protest. Song Qingyan would inquire if I had forgotten to eat breakfast. I casually dismissed his concern, remarking, My family is impoverished. My parents work and seldom return home, leaving me with nothing to eat. Anyone could discern that my words were laced with jest. Given my entry into the finest school and class through connections, it was inconceivable for me to be truly destitute. However, from that day forth, Song Qingyan made it a point to bring me an array of breakfast options each day, insisting that my first task upon arriving at the classroom was to eat. The following morning, I gazed at the 2 breakfast portions on the table with a frown. Song Qingyan, you audacious servant. Are you attempting to fatten me up as a form of revenge? How utterly malicious. Song Qingyan clasped his hands together and bowed towards me. My lord, I beseech you to read fewer novels. The other portion is from Li Sisi. It has nothing to do with me.
Jeg glansede over at Li Sisi.
Only to find her hastily grabbing a book to feign nonchalance, albeit holding it upside down. As I unwrapped the breakfast she had sent, Song Qingyan interjected with a hint of sarcasm. Ah, how unfortunate that mine coincided with hers. A tremor in my hand caused the bag to tear. The professional within me could not help but engage. Oh, is that how it is? Song Qingyan scoffed. Had I known she would send something, I would have refrained from doing so. This leaves me even more perplexed. He regarded me with a look of forlorn longing. If she sends today and I send tomorrow, we can stagger our contributions, ensuring neither excess nor deprivation. Li Sisi's breakfast paled in comparison to Song Qingyan's offerings. I remained curious about the source of his delectable breakfasts, as the bag bore no identifying logo. Song Qingyan, I have yet to inquire. Where do you procure your breakfast? My family chef prepares it. What of it? The notion of a family chef sounded remarkably posh. In contrast, my own family prided itself on frugality, particularly as both my parents were researchers who seemed to have the word economy etched upon their foreheads. Are you a second-generation rich kid?
No.
I exhaled in relief, fearing for my friend's welfare, yet also wary of a life of luxury. I am a sixth-generation heir. How infuriating. I had been deceived. He was playing the part of a young master from a wealthy family. I regarded him with an impassive expression. What you just said, I shall pretend I did not hear, and you are to refrain from mentioning it again. Song Qingyan's aspirations mirrored my own. The day of the college entrance examination arrived swiftly, and he pressed a talisman into my hand. Quickly, take a moment to touch it. May the star of literature bless you. I surveyed the examination hall, filled with students, teachers, and parents. Song Qingyan, did your family not come to cheer you on? He shrugged. My family is quite busy. If they do not work hard to earn money, what will I spend? Little moon, everyone has their own life. If one's emotions do not receive positive reinforcement, one must learn to let go. The brilliance in his gaze shimmered. Perhaps I had been overly fixated on the idea of family unity, mistakenly thinking that I could mend our fragmented ties by feigning ignorance. Yet, as Song Qingyan pointed out, everyone leads their own life. My parents devoted all their energy to their research, undertaking monumental endeavors that left me feeling guilty for harboring complaints, as that would seem selfish. My siblings, too, maintained a certain distance from our parents, resulting in their rare presence at home. My family was large, yet paradoxically sparse. Perhaps it was time for me to learn the art of maturity. Song Qingyan and I enrolled in the same university. Upon receiving our acceptance letters, he called me, Little Moon, do not be disheartened. I shall be bringing you breakfast for the next 4 years. Song Qingyan, could you do me a favor? What is it? Pretend to be my boyfriend, and perhaps dye your hair blonde. After ending the call, I reached out to my older siblings. I have a significant matter to discuss. You must all return promptly. The 4 of us gathered in the living room, and I had already arranged for the aunt to leave early. My eldest brother adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses. Speak. What new mischief are you concocting? My third brother, clad in black, removed his mask and hat, resembling a thief. My second sister was still on the phone, hastily wrapping up her call. I have little time. Please, speak quickly. My fourth sister perused a document in silence. I am in love with someone. He has blonde hair. With a loud thud, the document fell to the floor, and the shock on all 4 faces mirrored one another. My eldest brother frowned. Little Moon, your rebellious phase seems to have arrived rather late. Brother, this is true love. I fear our parents will disapprove. Please help me. My third brother twitched his lips. My instincts tell me you are up to no good. Under my earnest pleas, they finally acquiesced. However, upon articulating my thoughts, the countenances of the 4 darkened instantly. The eldest brother, enraged, let out a sardonic laugh, his voice dripping with menace. Am I gay? The second sister, typically aloof, appeared momentarily bewildered. Am I a lesbian? The third brother and fourth sister exchanged glances, rolling their eyes at one another. The third brother clapped mockingly. What a brilliant scheme you have concocted. Just to introduce a blonde, you wish for us to take the lead. Truly, you are quite the mastermind. Our parents leaned on each other, their faces etched with sorrow. The siblings stood in a row, their expressions impassive. I turned to the eldest brother. So, you are homosexual? He nodded, and I felt a sense of satisfaction. I then faced the second sister. And you, are you a lesbian? She closed her eyes, her jaw clenched tightly. Indeed. Approaching the third brother and fourth sister, their faces paled, and they clutched their chests, inhaling deeply. My father gazed skyward at a 45-degree angle. What sins have we committed? That our home is beset by such misfortune? With so many children, is there not one who is normal? My mother looked at me, ever so obedient beside her. Mingyue, you don't have any secrets from your father and me, do you? I recoiled slightly. I am in a relationship. My mother's lips trembled as she tentatively asked, with a man? No, not a man. My mother was taken aback. Is he from Kyoto? My mother brightened. Hunon is acceptable. That is good. I produced a photograph. Mother, my boyfriend has blonde hair. Will you harbor any prejudice against him? My parents were remarkably open-minded. What of yellow hair? Hair color does not dictate character. I see this young man is quite handsome. Indeed. When shall you bring him home for us to assess? I pulled them aside. Mom and Dad, please do not blame my siblings. They simply lack affection, which has led them astray. With your care and attention, they will surely amend their ways. Song Qingyan, you are to visit my home tomorrow. Make it grandiose, arrange luxury cars and bodyguards, and display your status. As you wish, Moon Queen. I shall ensure it is executed flawlessly. In recent days, my parents had finally set aside some work to attend to family matters. While my siblings were unaccustomed to this, I could discern a flicker of joy in their eyes. They were different from me. I, being the youngest and often feigning ignorance, received a measure of affection. Yet, they had never experienced this. From my earliest memories, they had always been fiercely independent. Even when they felt the pangs of loneliness from lack of companionship, they never revealed their feelings. They had learned to navigate adulthood at a tender age. Initially, I could not fathom why my parents felt compelled to have me after already having so many children. My mother explained it was to ensure the continuation of their exemplary genes. I endeavored to let go, but before I did, I wished for my siblings to experience familial love at least once. Though the journey was fraught with twists and turns, the goal was ultimately achieved. A few days away from work would hardly be detrimental. However, the sunlight that was once longed for in my youth ultimately dried up the unspeakable dampness of my heart. The story had commenced, and naturally, it must reach its conclusion. On the day of Song Qingyan's arrival, the spectacle was grand. Over a dozen luxury vehicles lined the entrance, with bodyguards stationed by the doors, as Song Qingyan descended in a bespoke suit. The third brother posed a soul-searching question. Isn't he a blonde? Where's his flamboyant flair? His trendy shoes? His playful outfit? I pointed to his striking hair color. There it is. I never claimed he was a flamboyant youth. Song Qingyan, shedding his usual casual demeanor, was exceedingly polite and well-mannered. Hello, uncle and aunt, brothers and sisters. I am Mingyue's boyfriend. We only defined our relationship after the college entrance exams, so I apologize for not visiting sooner. Behind him stood dozens of elegantly attired young ladies in kipeos, holding gifts in a neat row. See, he was indeed a child of privilege, distinct from the nouveau riche. I, on the other hand, was a product of newfound wealth, entirely reliant on my fourth sister's enterprise, lacking any depth of character. Yet I sensed he was deviating from the script. My father poured him tea. So, you are Xiao Song? What business does your family engage in? Song Qingyan accepted the cup with both hands. My family runs a modest business. The fourth sister inquired. A modest business? Specifically, what kind? Since you are Mingyue's boyfriend, I would not mind extending support if possible. Song Qingyan smiled. Thank you, sister. Perhaps we can collaborate in the future. I leaned in to whisper in my fourth sister's ear. His father is Song Haishan, a figure capable of shaking the entire capital with a mere stomp. The fourth sister nearly spilled her tea, and after regaining her composure, she regarded me with a knowing smile. My words, coincidentally uttered in silence, caught the ears of all present. Sharp gazes were directed towards me. As the saying goes, one does not strike a smiling face. I promptly flashed a grin. Alas, it seemed to incite even more ire. Nevertheless, Song Qingyan proved to be a master of social finesse. After our interactions, my parents were thoroughly satisfied, while my siblings remained apathetic. Not just them, I too felt numb. Something felt amiss. I took the initiative to escort him out, pulling him aside once we reached the entrance. Lowering my voice, I said, "You young man, are you rewriting the script? Weren't you supposed to be aloof and arrogant?" I had intended for him to deliver an ending to this narrative. According to the script, you ought to have been exceedingly rude, leading my family to force me to break up with you. Do you understand? Song Qingyan smiled faintly. Mingyue, how cruel of you. Forcing me to push you away feels no different than subjecting me to a slow demise. I smirked. You are quite the drama queen. Fine. Let us keep it this way for now. We can concoct an excuse to part ways later. Why should we part? Do you find our interactions uncomfortable? I pondered. Not at all. Interacting with Song Qingyan was the most comfortable experience I had. Then, do you feel burdened? I had to concede. Not at all. I had always been unabashedly myself around him. So, do you dislike me? How could I ever? I would never harbor any dislike towards you. Song Qingyan spread his hands. Then that settles it. You prefer to remain idle, while my family happens to be quite affluent. You needn't lift a finger. And I excel at socializing. We complement each other perfectly. Moreover, I am a latchkey child. My parents are perpetually occupied with business and travel, neglecting me. And surely neglecting you as well. Look at how well suited we are. We are practically made for each other. When you meet Song Qingyan, just marry him. What absurdity. I was both amused and exasperated. Who appropriates an advertisement slogan while professing their affection? Aren't they concerned about copyright infringement? We'll see. After all, you promised to bring me breakfast for 4 years. Upon returning home, my siblings loomed in the corner, their expressions conveying utter despondency. Our parents were absent. The third brother wiped a tear from his cheek. Had we known he was a tall, rich, and handsome type, we would not have pretended to be some homosexual family drama. I applauded enthusiastically. That performance was stellar. You're destined for an Oscar. The eldest brother approached me, gently tapping the back of my head. Mingyue, you have truly gone too far this time. Why did you do this? I sighed deeply. I often think of how you never tell mom and dad when you fall ill, how the second sister resolves her own conflicts, how the third brother has never mentioned being bullied, and how the fourth sister pretends nothing has happened when injured. I chuckled lightly. I was merely thinking that, as a family, what I possess, I wish for you all to have as well, even though you may not find it necessary at present. My voice softened, and third brother enveloped me in a tight embrace, sobbing, "Little moon, how can you be so wonderful?" In truth, in some corner of their hearts, they had not entirely matured. That perpetually gloomy nook continued to exude a stench of decay. Although they appeared impatient these days, I understood them all too well. I knew they found joy in it. For a family like ours, love is a rather extravagant sentiment. As everyone assumed the role of a rational being, emotions seemed to have become something to be discarded. Is this the reason for putting on such a performance? Father and mother stood at the doorway, and father gazed at me with a complex expression. Father, mother, I love you dearly, and so do my brothers and sisters. However, you truly lack the ability to love others. I have merely grasped a fragment of it. I believe a brief separation from you all at the Research Institute will not pose too great an issue, will it? Those who have never been loved find it exceedingly difficult to love in return. The environment in which our parents grew up was far more stringent than that of my elder siblings. Consequently, they are unable to love my siblings, who have, in turn, mirrored their demeanor. Being relatively astute, I decided to act as a bridge, albeit temporarily, constructing this absurd love overpass. Mother smiled with a newfound understanding. Mingyue, it is because of you that I have learned to love. I wish to change, but I wonder if it is too late. It is not. Third brother, with still red eyes, exclaimed, "It is never too late, for I have been waiting for this day." Fourth sister, ever the voice of reason, inquired, "So, were you and Song Qingyan merely acting?" Just then my phone rang, displaying Song Qingyan's name. I shook my phone and smiled broadly. It seems it is not merely an act. In the epilogue, after everyone received their acceptance letters, our class held a gathering. Li Sisi proudly brandished her acceptance letter towards me. Even without a guaranteed spot, I will still attend Qingda. I clapped my hands with a blank expression. Oh, that's splendid. Li Sisi stomped her foot in frustration. Why must you speak in such a sarcastic tone? You still owe me for stepping on my chips back then. Can't I respond this way? Lee Cece paused, her angry expression suddenly transforming into laughter. I will buy you a truckload later. It won't kill you. Upon entering the private room, just as we sat down, Chi Yuaner and fourth place arrived hand in hand, all lovey-dovey, clearly in a relationship. Chi Yuaner beamed with pride.
See?
How impressive I am. Both third place and third place are mine. Honest individuals prefer to work quietly and achieve great things. During dinner, a thought struck me. Song Qingyan, I believe I misheard you earlier. You certainly did not say chocolate, did you? Song Qingyan peeled a shrimp and placed it on my plate. I meant to say, who wants to be your brother? I had mistakenly interpreted it as I want to eat chocolate. I picked up the peeled shrimp and chewed thoughtfully. Not being brothers is fine. He paused in his shrimp peeling. Can I take this to mean that you have agreed to my proposal? Indeed. Perhaps it was the delicious shrimp, the gentle breeze, or the sun that was not too harsh. As I left, my parents reminded me to be safe. Suddenly, I found myself wanting to date him. The end of the story. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next tale.